Recovery is a Process of Decisions podcast. Tonight's episode is entitled Transforming My Triggers. I've been in the recovery process since 2003. And last night I dreamed of sitting in a room full of drugs with a woman offering me a plate with lines of white powder on it. I immediately woke up and said a prayer thanking God for another day of life. For me, triggers can come in the form of dreams or wandering thoughts, of past imagery of inappropriate conduct. This wayward thought pattern can occur at the most incongruous times. Moments such as when driving absent-mindedly down the road, or when waiting online at the drive-thru eatery, or even in the middle of a conversation with my significant other. These sudden lapses in current thought occur as a hijacking of my positive train on the recovery railroad. This sudden diversion comes complete with HD TV quality mind movies propagated with real or unreal characters whom I may or may not know. These snippets from the mind meld that are totally irrelevant actions of a past gone era of existence. An overwhelming of a fully functional memory built upon guilt and shame. Leg holes embedded in imagery, storytelling, and character. These same triggers can avail themselves through smell. The sudden whiff of real or imagined marijuana smoke, or the uniqueness of gasoline for which cocaine has its roots. It does not take much for the imagination and trigger carousel to begin its full revolutionary ride into my mind's eye. The fact that these triggers will surface after over 20 years in the recovery process illustrates the very essence of why there is no cure for the disease of addiction. It can and will bear its creative head at the most auspicious times. There is a slogan that states, "Your misery can always be refunded." This is always the case. Even sleep can't deter this vicious cycle of imaginary pictograph coupled with guilt and shame. The mind's eye can always engage its circulatory cycle of mischief and paranoia. These triggers poise themselves as dream catchers and can prove to be disrupting elements of peace in a life rooted in recovery. These triggers can only be extinguished by the release of prayer. A fervent cry to the God of my understanding, and then a hurried, urgent recall of all the pain caused by those bad past decisions. A momentary, complete rewinding of the clock of my past. A rewinding of the clock to include all the misery and pain caused by those hurried, horrible past bad decisions. I burn through the image of triggers with no highlight reel of good times, but rather a bright imagery of jails, institutions, and moments of escape, premature death. I replace those images of enticing triggers with real pictures of pain and misery. Real life imagery of blood, sweat, and tears. I push back against those triggers of enticement with motion pictures of misery. These images, wrapped up in a bundle of near-death experiences, help deliver me from the memory of past drug dreams. No pleasant sentiments of pleasure, but rather a widescreen pictorial of sadness and despair. Images of wandering homeless and being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I turn my triggers into memories for recovery. Memories that necessitated my absolute need for the stages of recovery and my need to never, ever return to the mistakes of my past. Nah, triggers don't haunt me. They remind me of all I went through to get to where I am today. My triggers set my recovery in concrete and serve as my flagpole for waving a flag of declaring my need to pray for thanks to the God of my understanding for another day to just do better. A new opportunity based in a decision to live and not die. A new opportunity to be at my best as I strive this day and every day to just do better. This is Trent Thomas on the Recovery is a Process of Decisions podcast. Please leave your inspiring comments on transnetrecover.com/podcast. And please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, #TransnetRecover. Thank you.